Hello, this is Rosh Throshia, and I figured that I'd jump in and do an off the wall episode. I haven't done one of these for a little while, mostly because I'm trying to get this this series of videos and things. I'm trying to make them better, and one of the ways that I'm trying to make them better is I'm trying to get a more formatted and designed system of doing the videos and picking out the topics, actually writing some things down about the topics, kind of getting my base ideas about those topics set and actually written down in front of me so that I actually have some notes or something that I can go off of. So, one of the things that I want to talk about, but the topic of today's video is going to be abortion. So, abortion is a topic, and one of the arguments that the left has been attacking the right with for a long time. And the right has always been for defending life. And that's why they call it pro life. There are some Democrats and some people on the left who do believe in that are also pro life. Uh, they're getting fewer and fewer because the left is going more and more extreme. I think the right is also getting a little bit more extreme too, towards the right. Um, and so yeah, the battle lines are being drawn more and more as life goes on right now. But so for abortion, this is an argument that is just so easy to um, basically obliterate. There is no reason not to be pro-life. There really is not any good reason to not be pro-life. Um, the left tries to push it as a religious argument. The right um, says, well, yeah, it is religious in some ways. Some of the reasons are religious. However, abortion is not something that needs a religious argument because the scientific argument is much better anyway. The scientific argument, and not only that, but the left obviously would prefer the scientific argument anyway. Um, Actually, the problem is with the scientific argument in the left is the left loses the scientific argument. The left loses the scientific argument by a long shot. So the left is pro-choice. And so they say that a woman should be able to choose whether they want to have their baby or not. Well, that is not very scientific at all. That is actually a very emotional and personal thing. That's not a scientific thing. Uh, so so yeah, they just don't even use a scientific argument at all. What they do is they use an emotional argument. It's always an emotional argument with the left. In fact, almost everything that they do is an emotional argument as to how they fight with how they try to present their arguments. And the emotional argument is women should be able to choose about their own health and what happens to their own body. Well, that's all good and fine. However, the body growing inside of them is not theirs. That body, it belongs to a different individual, a different human being. And we know that it's human because it's definitely human cells. And we know that it's a separate being because it has its own individual heartbeat, it has its own individual cells, its own DNA that is separate and very unique from the mother's DNA or the father's DNA. So it is completely different from what was there before. Um, and the scientists, the biologists, the gynecologists, all of the general consensus among those are that this is an individual human being. It is not it is not the mother, it is not the father, it is its own individual human being. So that's really not a scientific argument for abortion because this is an individual human being. Now, the other question is it living? Well, we know that parasites, single-celled organisms, um, plants, all of these are living. And even as an embryo, um, this individual human being inside the mother is just as alive as any of those things that I just barely listed. A parasite actually has to rely on its host for an awful lot of things, and yet it is still considered alive. Um, a tree growing in the forest is considered alive, though it never moves, or it never moves a lot. So it can move a little bit, can sway with the wind, or it can move to. Uh, actually plants do move just a little bit, really, really slow to kind of catch the sunlight a little bit better. And that's one of the reasons that the branches always grow up and towards the sun, is because they're actually moving just a little bit to find the sun and get the best sun. As plants grow, they try to find the best sun. In fact, we had my daughter, she brought home a sunflower seed. We didn't know it was sunflower seed, but I went and I planted it in the garden because she had this little flower. It wasn't all that big. And I went and planted it in the garden, and we made sure that water was to it. Well, it was underneath a tree. And as this sunflower grew, it started tilting, and it grew at an angle. And so when it got all the way up and grew the big end on it for the sunflower, it started tipping over because of the weight of that top, but it had grown sideways to try and find the sun, trying to get to the sun. Um, and then you can actually see some flowers, they'll turn and they'll adjust to the sun. It's really slow motion, and it would take a long time with the camera on it and probably time lapse in order to actually see the movements of plants, but they do move a little bit, very, very little. You're definitely going to get even any baby inside a mother that is going to grow, that is going to be moving a whole lot more. And yes, I will refer to it as an embryo, a fetus, a baby. No matter what form that baby is inside the mother, or that fetus is, that embryo is, in all cases, still human being. It is still a human being, and scientifically, it is a human being. Um, there's just not really any argument as to anything else. It can't be anything else. It's not going to grow to be a dog. It's not going to grow to be a cat or a horse or anything else. It's going to grow up. It's going to grow into a human being. All the cells that it contains are human cells. So, yeah, that's some of the basics of what the left argues, is that, oh, it's not a living being. It's not human. They're just trying to dehumanize it, trying to make it so that they can justify the fact that they are going to rip that out and make it so that it cannot live. And they continue to argue that it's not living, that it's not a human, that it's not a separate being, that it's part of the mother. And all of these arguments are completely non-scientific arguments. They are very poor arguments as well. So once you get that taken care of, that pretty much obliterates any kind of notion that this is the mother's body that they're actually trying to deal with. That the mother gets to choose what to do with her body. No, she's trying to choose. If you're going to give her the choice of an abortion, she's choosing what to do with a different body. Not her body, someone else's body. Her baby's body. And there's just no way that you can argue past that, because that is the facts. That is the facts. That is the science behind it. And not only that, but abortion actually does have really bad health um, implications for a woman. So, one of the big problems with abortion is it makes it so that the mother might never be able to have birth ever again. Each time an abortion is performed on a woman, it compromises her system, it compromises her organs to where it makes it harder. It makes it so that she might not be able to carry a child to term ever again. And the more abortions, the worse that gets. Um, and I think this is something that women need to know before they are allowed to have an abortion. They need to know that their health is going to be compromised if they are to have an abortion. I think that women need to be informed of these kind of things. It also An abortion also increases the chances of breast cancer. Now, it's very specific as to how it does that, and basically, it is because a woman's breasts um, will change. They'll actually change so that they can produce milk for the baby. Well, this happens throughout the pregnancy. However, an early terminated pregnancy makes it so that the the transition from where they were to where they're going isn't complete. It doesn't complete all its cycle and its change. And so the woman's breast is more susceptible to breast cancer because of that, because those cells inside a woman's breast don't change fully. Um, so at their original state before pregnancy, the cells in the woman's breast um, are resistant to cancer. And as they change, they become more susceptible to cancer. And then if they settle all the way to the full change, then they are again resistant to cancer. They again have the resistance to the breast cancer. So basically, if you're terminating that pregnancy early, then you get stuck in that area where they're more susceptible to breast cancer. So that is some of the health issues that could come because of an abortion. And this information I did get from legitimate gynecologists. So this came from a legitimate gynecologist as far as the information that I'm sharing with you right now, as far as women's health. And then as far as the science and facts relating to a fetus, an embryo, a baby, an unborn baby, um, all of those being a human being and that sort of thing. That stuff all comes from biologists and scientists that know a lot more than I do about the science. Now, I have looked into the science, I've researched the science a little bit myself. So I do have a pretty good knowledge of the science myself, but in the end, the scientific argument is one that should be completely and totally against abortion. Abortion just does not stand up to the science. It does not stand up to the facts. It is not good for the woman. It's not good for the baby, obviously. So abortion is just not good all around. There's just no good in abortion. And you may say that's more of a religious argument, and I suppose maybe it is. But really, when it comes right down to it, it is not good. Abortion is not good. You could even say that it is evil. So, but that is my off the wall episode for today. So, thank you very much for watching. Please like, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and comment down below. I'd like to hear your comments. You can even present your argument that and try to refute mine. I doubt you're going to have any true scientific or strong argument against what I've said because I've researched it. I know it's the facts. But you are welcome to put in your arguments. I will try and be as respectful as I possibly can to any arguments that you might have. Or you can just say, yeah, I agree. Type of something like that. So anyway, this is the Roach Throatia, and I'll see you in the next one.